my name is Elizabeth Jackson. I'm not a medical professional. I am a body worker. I do massage therapy, Reiki treatments, and craniosacral work. I'm so pleased that you're here. I think it's really important that we talk about health and about ways of well-being. So welcome. Before we get started, I'd like to set an intention, and if this doesn't agree with your belief system, then just bear with me for a few minutes. So I'd like to have all of you close your eyes and imagine that it's your highest self that brought you here today, that you're here to hear something that will help you to live a more authentic life, rooted in your power and in your love. We ask that we're all supported here by our guides, helpers, those ascended ones of the light. And we ask that any energies that are unlike love, any beliefs, be banned from this space and time so that we're free to feel who we really are, to be our truest selves. And so it is. Now I'd like to ask you a question, and I don't want you to answer it right now. You can just think about it while I'm talking, and maybe we'll come back to it in a little while. And that question is, who's in charge of your healthcare plan? I believe that we came to this world on purpose, and that well-being is our natural state, that we're pure positive energy living in super smart bodies. We came here to experience the joy of using our minds, bodies, and hearts to create our own unique experiences, meaningful experiences. We're spiritual beings with thoughts and emotions that have a direct relationship to every cell in our bodies, and a relationship also to all that is. The beliefs we've come to accept have a direct effect on our well-being. We are creators, and we have great freedom in the manifestation process. We can change in any given moment our beliefs, our perspectives, and our actions, no matter what our experiences have been in the past. Beliefs that vibrate with our pure positive energy perpetuate our well-being, and beliefs that don't block it. Our repeated and practiced thoughts become our beliefs, and our beliefs give rise to our experiences, creating our reality. That being said, many of us live in our present moments with thoughts that stem from our past experiences. Instead of being the blissful, powerful creators that we came here to be, we're often struggling to even find a glimpse of that person inside of us. Sometimes, beginning when we were very young, we've had experiences that interrupt our flow of pure positive energy in our body. Maybe we get hurt physically, emotionally, or both. The degree to which we're able to resume that flow is dependent upon both our emotional state at the time of the injury and upon the availability of loving attention that we receive after it occurs. Sometimes we heal instantly, and sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes the painful experience leaves a residue that our energetic body holds onto. That might include our physical body, our conscious mind, our unconscious memory. Imagine this with me. You're a very young child and you have a bellyache, and you're lucky because you have a really loving mom. And if you never did have this, just imagine it with me, okay? So your belly hurts, and you go to your mom and you say, "My belly hurts," and you moan and whine and maybe cry because you're so little that you still get to do all of those things. And your mom just gathers you into her arms and she hugs you and she lets you tell her again and again that your belly hurts. Maybe you lay down and she rubs your back or your belly lightly, And she stays with you murmuring reassurances because she knows that even though you're sick, that you're going to be well soon. She's not alarmed and she's not disturbed by you whining and moaning. So the two of you stay like that for a while, and maybe after a while you poop or throw up and cry. And your mom just stays right with you. You might have an epiphany then that you ate too many donuts and that's why your belly hurt. Or maybe your belly hurt because you really missed having your mom just hold you. So your mom helps clean you up and she tucks you back into bed and she stays with you until you're ready to sleep. And when you wake up, you feel better and you want to play. Simple, right? Well, we all know that a lot of our painful, disruptive experiences were not like that. And in fact, some were much worse. Most of us were not raised in a culture where we were encouraged to take the time we needed to let ourselves heal naturally. When we experience pain, disease, or disruption, we're separated from our natural flow of energy. There's a disturbance in the field, so to speak. And without that connection, one of the first and natural responses to the pain is fear. And the fear further gets in our way of remembering that we're equipped to handle our body, our emotions, and our mental conditions. When we experience symptoms of illness or disharmony, it's important to remember that the symptoms themselves are natural reactions by our body-mind to alert us to the fact that we're not getting what we need to be connected to our pure, healthy, well vibration. We truly did come into this world with everything we need to be vibrant, productive, and happy. Health is about vibrancy on every level of our being. Health is about being able to function and move freely and easily. It's about being able to digest what we ingest. It's about being able to express our desires so that we can manifest reflections of our inspiration. Our inspirations lead us to knowing who we really are, unique and individual versions of Source, God, Goddess, the Divine, all consciousness. We are moving, breathing, thinking, and feeling via both organized and disorganized energetic systems. And we're influenced by everything and everyone else in this even greater system. And we also impact everything and everyone in the system. We're not separate. This is an important thing, an important idea for us to acknowledge. We're always on the leading edge of what happens next, because how we think determines what we come to believe, and what we believe manifests into our reality. It happens in the macrocosm of our life and in the microcosm of our bodies. We matter. We become matter. What we think about becomes matter, our reality. The relatively new science of epigenetics supports this belief that what we think and believe has an impact on our cells and that can even change our DNA. You can learn more about this topic by reading some of the work by Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden. There's proof, if you need it, that scientific proof now that says it's helpful for us to pay attention to the way we think, to question our own belief systems, not the ones we think we have, but the ones that we actually live by, so that we can make changes accordingly that will benefit our health, our happiness, our ability to uniquely express as the gods and goddesses we came here to be. So what does this all mean to you and your health? It means that the part of yourself that you've been trying to get to know better, your spirit, your chi, your energetic self, is finally being recognized as a system, and perhaps the integrator of all systems in your body. You've known this all along, even if you temporarily have been distracted from it. You know when something's wrong energetically because you don't feel good. And you know when your chi is balanced because you feel vital, energetic, and confident. Everything's about how you feel. Your health is about how you feel. So how do you feel? Are you running your life, or is your life running you? Are you mostly happy, fulfilled, and aware that you are the creator of your experiences? If so, then you know that it takes a willingness to change as your needs and desires change. You know that when you don't feel good, it's an opportunity to discover what it is in your life that doesn't work for you anymore. And if you're not feeling good, but you keep ignoring the unhappiness, or pushing through discomfort, or numbing yourself out, the result is usually some sort of pain or dis-ease. Please hear me when I tell you that dis-ease and pain is really a gift. Pain is your body's way of trying to tell you that something needs to change. We have come to believe as a society that it's normal to deteriorate. It's become a meme, something that's happened because we keep reinforcing the idea until it becomes true. We're bombarded every day by pharmaceutical marketing, telling us what we need to take in order to treat our illnesses and diseases. Not only does this bombardment of information reinforce the idea that it's normal to be unhealthy, it also suggests that the solutions will fix us, and they warn us at the same time about what else could go wrong if we take the medications. This isn't a rail against all medication. It's an urging for you to address what's going on in your head, in your heart, in your body, and in your life that's contributing to your dis-ease. In our lifetimes, there have been so many miraculous advancements in the field of medicine that we've relinquished to some degree our control over our own bodies, our intelligence about how to take care of ourselves. You know, taking a medication or having a surgery even reinforces the idea lots of times that we can just take ourselves to a healthcare professional and that they'll fix us. It is really miraculous that a surgeon can set a broken bone, that they can stitch up our cuts, and even clear blockages in our hearts. And we're fortunate that we have these excellent means of healing available to us. Sometimes we need surgery, or medication, or both. They're not any less useful or miraculous than more natural remedies. Yet, they often exclude paying attention to our complete being. They don't look at what went wrong in the first place to cause the dis-ease or the break. And they sometimes create an imbalance in other systems. If we truly want to bring about healing, we have to address our spiritual and energetic health. When we're ill or injured, we're probably also experiencing mental exhaustion, emotional turmoil, and usually a depletion of our energy, including our money. And in fact, we probably were having those experiences before we became ill or injured, but we didn't recognize them as signals that something was off. The acknowledgement of the fact that we even have an energetic system and that it's a key component of who we are is crucial when we talk about ways of addressing our health. And so is the understanding that every cell in our body has intelligence. Every thought, every emotion has its own vibrational essence that is echoed throughout the body-mind. For centuries, other cultures have recognized that our thoughts and emotions have some creative play within our cell tissue. They've acknowledged that we have energy centers, chakras, and energy pathways, meridians, that carry the messages within our cells throughout our bodies. So when we talk about natural medicine and methods, we're talking about harmony within the whole being. For it's through that awareness that we are able to access the key to unlocking the right prescription for our own personal healing and well-being. How involved we are in our health process also has a powerful impact on whether we actually get well and on how we can stay well. What methods we use and who we get assistance from is only part of the equation. We must realize that the power is within each one of us to be well. Remember when I said that your health is all about how you feel? It may sound trite, but the truth is that we usually are operating out of a level of feeling that is somewhere in the range of fear or somewhere in the range of love. The only way to truly affect change in habit and thinking and being is through love. When we address our health, whatever state it's in, we must bring love into the equation. Where is the love in your healthcare plan? You know by now that I'm not talking about your Obama plan or your Anthem plan or your Harvard Pilgrim plan. I admit that I haven't read completely through all of those plans, but I'm willing to bet that you're not going to find the word love in them. And if you do, I'm willing to bet they're not going to elicit feelings of love as you read through them. You might be thinking, hey, I love myself, and I still have a bum hip. I've done everything I can to get it better, but it's just not getting better. Or maybe, hey, my niece died of cancer when she was 4. How does love fit into that healthcare plan? Well, remember that your hip problem is your body's way of telling you that something needs to change. What do our hips do when they're functioning properly? They hold us up, they carry us forward, and energetically, they carry our past. So a holistic approach might be to bring some love to your hip and thank it for being such a good messenger, and as you bring the love to your hip, you listen to what else might come up. Maybe it's an old emotion that's keeping you from moving towards something. Maybe it's a fear that you don't have anything to move forward to. A good energy-based practitioner can work with you and understands that with the right intention and attention, your body already knows what it needs to do to heal, and it's possible. What about the child with the cancer? In every experience, there's something that is healing. If this has been a part of your life or is a part of your life, then you're going to get to your own understanding of where the love is. Maybe there's been some deep-seated resentment in the family, and the child came along to help them to come together to experience some forgiveness. Or maybe the child came to take that wound to the light on the other side. We can't really know the why answers to much of what we experience here. But what we can do is open the door for healing, for love, ease, and peace. We can move from pain and fear to love. Healthcare is an ongoing practice. It's not an instantaneous, forever after all better situation. Sick care can be instantaneous and it can be final. But well-being is an ever-changing, conscious awareness of ourselves. We must be deliberately paying attention to how we feel as the conditions in our lives change. We must be willing to be proactive in the changes in our lives. Every day, before you get out of bed, it can be helpful to pause. Ask yourself, what do I want? How do I want to feel? Not what do I have to do? Not what should I do? Not who needs me to do something? But what do I want? How do I want to feel? This is a beneficial practice because when you pause to ask yourself these questions, You're addressing your highest self, your inner being, the one who really wants to be heard. You're in a position when you first wake up to allow yourself some freedom from what you perceive is expected of you and instead imagine who you really are. It's about creating a feeling of love. Now, it might not be easy to make that connection to your inner being, especially if you're not used to giving yourself this kind of love, especially if you're in pain. You know you want some changes, but what? It might be activity, your diet, your thinking, your job, your relationships, or a combination of all of those things. You might need medication temporarily to bring you relief until you can establish a way to connect with your eager, super smart body-mind. Sometimes we need a major catastrophe in our lives before we'll stop and listen and can hear. How many people do you know of that have had a major change in their lives as a result of a health catastrophe? It wasn't the health issue that was the problem. The health issue came to get them to slow down, to listen, to ask themselves, what do I need to change in order to make my life better? I urge you not to wait until you're forced to put your life on hold to deal with a major catastrophe. The good news is that we've been blessed with bodies that speak loud and clearly if we slow down enough to listen to them, if we take them seriously. I know you might not want to hear that, especially if your life is so busy, full of things you need to do. However, I'll say this, if you're experiencing any of the following minor healthcare problems, your body's asking you to listen. So stress, even the mildest of disruptions stresses you out. High or low blood pressure, chronic muscle ache and pain, irritable bowel syndrome, unbalanced weight, heartburn, indigestion, chronic headaches, allergies, feelings of apathy, depression, anxiety, addictions, alcoholism, drug, food, sex, shopping, breathing problems, thyroid issues, memory loss. If everyone else has become intolerable, these symptoms can be precursors to the onset of disease, and chances are they take up quite a bit of your attention. What can you do to make a difference? Well, you have to start where you are, and that means acknowledging to someone else, and most importantly to yourself, that you don't feel good and that you want to feel better. It isn't easy, but the steps are the same. We stay where we are until we don't have to, and until something changes, and it will. Sometimes we have to wait, throw up, cry. Sometimes we have to do this for days or years on end, until we have an epiphany, until we decide, I want something different. We need loving attention, and if we can't find someone who can at least listen, we have to be that person for ourselves until someone answers our call. We have to make that connection with our higher self who only wants the best for us. We need to establish a relationship with your highest self. Your highest self never criticizes you, only wants what's good for you, understands that you're human, that you make mistakes, but there's much more for you. We have to make a call, though. We have to tell someone else, hey, I'm hurting. And there are lots of opportunities for that to happen. Like when we've been doing nothing but going to work every day, dragging ourselves through the day, going home, sitting in front of stupid television, or playing Angry Birds, or perusing social media while we make our way through a six-pack of beer, or smoke a joint, or eat a bag of M&Ms or Fritos. When we wake up with a headache and a stomach ache, and we're bound to determine that we won't do it again, that's the time. That's the time to make the call. It's a perfect time to admit, hey, I want to feel better than this. So whether we're talking about healing or about maintaining our well-being, we need to pay attention to our thoughts, to our inner dialogue. Much of our inner dialogue takes place without a lot of our attention or a lot of awareness. Sometimes we're just playing a tape over and over again. Things that someone else once told us or someone else's beliefs that we don't believe. Often our attention is put on what we are not, on what we should be doing, instead of on what we are doing, or on what we wish didn't happen, or on what we fear will happen, instead of on what we love, what we hope for, what we appreciate. When we become aware or unaware, when we become unaware of our thoughts, we forget that they make a difference and that we can change our inner dialogue if it's not serving us. If the conversation we're having with our body-mind are about how unhappy and unworthy we are, or about how mad we are at our body or at other people, or in any way self-deprecating, then we're not a vibrational match for that pure flow of positive energy. We're not a match for our inner beings. Deepak Chopra once quoted, "If you want to know what your thoughts were like in the past, then examine your body today. And if you want to know what your body's going to look like in the future, pay attention to your mind today." Think about some elderly people you know as you ponder that. What are their shapes like? What have their attitudes been like? Could it be that someone who's riddled with arthritis is a person who's long been super critical of themselves and others? A person with a chronic stiff neck is often a person who is unwilling or unable to look at all sides of an issue. Hip problems, foot problems, knee problems, all joints, all things that move us forward, the things that help us to take steps towards something. They represent life, happiness, joy, moving towards those things. If we're stagnant and achy, what does that say? Uterine fibroid tumors often appear in women who've stifled their creativity, failed to give birth to their true selves, their true ideas and aspirations. Someone who's constantly clearing their throat may have been suppressing their voice for years. It's pretty easy to see these connections when we think of other people, but not quite as obvious when we examine our own selves. My thumbs and thumb pads began to hurt when I was in my early 30s. The pain sometimes was just unbearable. And I believed what my doctor told me at first, that I was developing arthritis. Seemed reasonable. My grandmother had arthritis, my mother had arthritis. Some of my siblings were experiencing signs of it. But there was something about that I didn't get, I didn't understand. It seemed like all the things that I love to do, use my hands for, why would my body turn against me? I mean, I love to knit, and I didn't want to stop that. And sometimes I was on the computer 10 hours a day. And I used to ride my bike a lot. I'd be bent over my handlebars for maybe 100 miles in a week or more. And the belief was that these things were causing me to have pain in my hands, the way I was living my life. It didn't seem fair. Why would my own body turn on me? Why couldn't I do what I wanted to do without causing pain? So I struggled with these thoughts and my hands for about 10 more years. I tried prescription NSAIDs when the pain got debilitating, and then I gave them up when my stomach started acting up. And sometimes my hands hurt worse than others. There didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to the amount of activity I did or what I did and how much my hands hurt. Well, my attitude about my hands and my whole body changed when I was introduced to a book by renowned author Louise Hay called You Can Heal Your Life. It's an excellent book. It walks you through recognizing and releasing patterns of thought and behavior that interfere with your inability to be the loving, productive person that you really are. She's done years of research on how different thought patterns manifest physically in our bodies, and she gives affirmations on how to change some of the patterns and thought processes to better serve us. It's got this great list on the back of the book with some common problems and probable causes, along with affirmations that you can use to help change and heal the problem. So anyway, I get this book and I read about hands, and it said gripping, holding, grasping, letting go, pinching, caressing, all ways of dealing with life's experiences. And the affirmation was, I now choose to handle all of my experiences with joy and ease. And when I looked up the thumb, it said it represented intellect and worry. And the affirmation is, my mind is at peace. And then I looked up arthritis, and it said feeling unloved, criticism, resentment. The affirmation, I am love. I now choose to see love in others, and I now love and approve of myself. When I read these, something resonated inside of me like the doctor's diagnosis never did. I could feel the energy attached to the affirmations, and I also knew that the pain in my thumbs was directly related to how I viewed my life. Coincidentally, I was introduced to Reiki at around the same time that I discovered Louise Hay's teachings. I was experiencing some back pain, and after having had surgery, one of the first things I did was I got Reiki and actually became a student of the practitioner. And she asked me, have you tried to communicate with your body? She instructed me to send love to all of my cells. She told me to see if I could make a deal with my back by promising to find new ways to love myself and seek ways of treating my body differently. And then maybe my back could stop the messages it was sending me. Well, I was receiving Reiki when she was saying this to me, and I was calm and felt so good. And the idea of speaking to my body with my heart and my mind, it just seemed natural. So I've had many changes in my life since those days when my heart and my mind and my body were confused. And one of them is that I decided that I didn't have to let what someone else told me about my body become my truth. I became a massage therapist, bucking the idea that it would be impossible because of my hands. I still have times when I forget to think about how I'm approaching my life, but I use affirmations daily. When I began with the one, I love and approve of myself. And I was in a job that was very rewarding in many ways, but stressful to me in a lot of other ways, and not doing a job that I loved. And on the way to work, instead of worrying about my day, I started to practice affirmations. And I began with that one, I love and approve of myself. So every day on the way to work, I'd look at myself briefly in my rearview mirror, and then I'd start, all right, I love and, I just couldn't remember what that other word was, you know, in the beginning. I'd be like, what's that, what is it, it's an A word, I love and, you know, and I'd have to, I'm going to have to look it up later, but I love myself, so all the way to work, I love myself. Then I'd look it up the next day, I love and approve of myself. And, you know, I didn't fail to notice the irony there that maybe I didn't really approve of myself, but I practiced it anyway, every day, over and over. I love and approve of myself, until it started to become my truth. So I use affirmations daily. I think they're important. I think it's important to remind ourselves of who we want to be and help to make that shift to become that person. And by the way, maybe an x-ray would show some arthritis in my hands, but you know what? My hands don't hurt, and I use them a lot for a lot of things that I love to do. I still have to pay attention to them, but they don't hurt. So when you start paying attention to your thoughts, you also re-examine your life. And you may suddenly feel like you need a drastic change, like a new job, new partner, and maybe you do need to change some things on the outside, but it can save you an awful lot of time and energy, and maybe your marriage, your job, and your health, if you look at the things on the inside and make your changes there. Dear Wayne Dyer, he used to say, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And you know what? It's so true. Our perception does make a difference. But how do we get ourselves to look at what appears to be the same things in a new way? How do we start living each moment in the moment? Well, one way is to make sure that we take care of ourselves. The universe and all that's in it seeks balance, and this includes you, your mind, your body, and your soul. I'm going to repeat something that I said to you earlier. You came here to experience joy and to manifest in your life what brings meaning to you. In order to do that, you have to become a nurturer of yourself. Learn to become selfish so that you can figure out what connects you to the pure love energy vibration of your higher self. The best thing you can do for anyone else is to attend to your own vibration first. Many of us, almost all of us, want to serve in some way. We want to help other people. But we can't do that if we're not doing it for ourselves first. You are the healer in your life. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey. Today is always the starting point. You can learn to feel good even if you're sick. And you can learn to love yourself even if it feels like no one else ever has. You can return to the vibration that brought you here in the first place. If you have the desire and you're willing to allow it in, you might have to learn how to revamp your thinking so that how you spend your time and who you spend it with are reflections of who you want to be, the way you want to be. You can make your life all about everyone else and about what you should do and about what they expect you to do. If you want to, you can. But you can also make your life be about what you choose to do. There's no one right way or right path for all people. There's only a path for right now. Make it the path of love. Self-love first. Some of your healing work may involve forgiveness. It may mean that you have to look at the shadow side of yourself as well as the magnificent parts of yourself that you've been hiding from. As a body worker, I highly recommend receiving body work on a regular basis. Massage, acupuncture, polarity, Reiki, craniosacral work, there's so many different versions of all of those things, but they're all excellent forms of self-care and opportunities for you to cultivate a rapport with your inner being. That time on the table is a time for you to have that deep connection, mind, body, spirit. Our bodies hold the information we need to heal, to be well. Simply by giving ourselves the opportunity to receive the intention and attention of a skilled light worker, we can open ourselves up to releasing stored energy patterns that were created as protection when we had no other way of processing hurt. It's the equivalent of giving yourself, your grown-up self, a chance to process your bellyache. What you put into your body, your thoughts, your food and beverages, your activity, all affect your health. So while I do believe that we need to pay attention to everything that goes in, especially our thoughts, because they pave the pathway for health, when it comes to healing and changing deep-rooted patterns of pain, the real magic and secrets don't come from our thinking brain. The real healing comes from our willingness to be silent and to be open to the language of our body and energetic systems. We can begin to tune into this through meditation, where we focus only on our breath and give our busy minds permission to stop the chatter. Meditation is usually, or rarely rather, a complete cessation of thought. A daily meditation practice is when we make a date with ourselves to sit and pay more attention to our breath than to our thoughts. It's a commitment that's heard throughout every cell of our being. They react by expecting the opportunity and recognizing that there can be harmony within our inner being. When we establish a daily meditation practice, we're more likely to slow our breath during our non-meditating hours of the day. It's like muscle memory. We begin to react and act in ways that reflect the increase in the available dopamine and serotonin levels. So who's in charge of your healthcare plan? Is it dependent upon what drugs and procedures your health insurance plan covers? Or is it a health care plan about what can I do to ensure that I'm getting the support I need to take supreme care of myself? Who's in charge of how much abundance you allow into your life? Who's in charge of how much and in what ways you move your body, your mind? What ways you feed your body, mind, relax your body, mind? Who's in charge of releasing your old habits, patterns, ways of thinking that don't serve you? It's our choice to recognize that we are the ultimate healers in our own lives, that we can live deliberately or we can let life happen to us. Our willingness to live fully in our own energies, to recognize our spirits and pursue happiness is directly connected to our health and well-being. I, for one, don't want to leave that up to Pfizer or Anthem or even my massage therapist. No one else has the ability to think your thoughts, sweat your sweat, cry your tears, laugh your laughter. No one else holds jurisdiction inside your body-mind except for your inner being, the divine in you. Your happiness and well-being have a big impact in the world. When you pay attention to what matters to you, you create new matter for all of us to delight in. You know or can discover what works best for you. There's not one way. These are only some ways that support your health. We're not all the same. We all have different needs at different times. Please get to know your truest, best self and share it with the rest of us. Let your vibrant health echo out into the universe as a unique expression of the divine that you are. Namaste.